Hey, Long Beach. It's Jerlene, and I'm live. Hope everyone is doing good. Invite some folks to be up in here. Jerlene, live from Long Beach, talk of the town. I know it has been a moment since I've sat down to go live. For folks on YouTube that are watching on YouTube, apologies. I have not kept y'all up to date on what's going on. But let me share this with a few folks. Okay. All right. Get your notepads out, people. Get your notepads out because tonight's going to be a lesson. I'm going to be sharing a lesson tonight. So much has been going on. So people who've been following me the last couple of weeks, a lot of my conversation has been around Silverado Park and the city's decision to put a temporary, an emergency winter shelter, homeless winter shelter in the gym at Silverado Park. So if you've been paying attention, that's been a lot of the conversation. And I am going to talk about that tonight, but I'm going to give I'm going to put things in context. And then I'm hoping that within the next couple of days, I can bring people online with me to have a conversation with community members. But tonight is just going to be like, get your notebooks out. It's going to be some homework and some assignments. So if you're watching me, watch me now, watch me later. Hope people give me some love, give me the thumbs up. You don't like it, give me an anger face. Just let me know that you're here. Say hello and share it. Push the share button right now. If you're watching, share it. Share it to your feed. Share it to your favorite group. Again, it's Jerlene live from Long Beach, talk of the town. All politics are local. All right. I know it's kind of late. I've been doing some research, people. All right. So one conversation that I've been wanting to have a few weeks ago, I very animated outside of City Hall. I was talking about this agenda item number 19. And actually, that was the last time I went live, talking about breaking down an item that came forward on the city council agenda. And I'm going to get back to that because it's very important. I know by the time I get to it, several weeks are going to pass, but it's going to help put a few things in context. So just remember that I'm still going to revisit that conversation. But tonight, it's about the City of Long Beach declaration, state of emergency on homelessness. So if people have not been paying attention, just in case you haven't been, we have new leadership in our city as of December of last year. We have new council members. We have a new mayor and a whole bunch of new stuff that's quite interesting. And under this new leadership, there was a state of emergency put out on homelessness. So for people who like actually watch the news or whatever, you've probably been paying attention. Los Angeles did this. With Mayor Karen Bass. Well, Long Beach did it as well. And this declaration of homelessness, it's if you guys remember, COVID hit, right? COVID hit 2020. We went to the state of emergency, and basically it gave our local government the authority to make decisions quickly without having to go through the regular chain of command or get authority from the city council representation or even different whatever processes were bypassed to be able to move things forward. Well, this state of emergency on homelessness is kind of like that, but it's really, really interesting. So January 10th of last month, there was a declaration, state of emergency on homelessness. So it's very complex. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to show you something. So like I said, people get your notebooks out. This declaration basically was set by our local government. Our city council approved it. So for those of us who live in Long Beach, we are in something called a council city manager type of government. I talked about this a few weeks back. And that means that our local government is led by our city council, who have a vote, 9 council members, 1 mayor, has no vote. And they make decisions and they tell the city manager what to do. And the city manager has these different requirements where when he wants to spend, it's a he, Tom Modica, whenever he wants to spend a certain amount of money, he has to basically go to city council, ask for permission. And the different departments across the city that he has oversight, if contracts have to be negotiated, they basically have to go to city council if it's over a certain monetary amount to get approval. Well, with the state of emergency, those type of rules have been like waived and put to the side, all in the name of a state of emergency. Okay, so I know like people, what are you talking about? So let's see. I'm gonna pull up. Let's see. So as you know, we have a homeless issue in our city. And give me just a moment. I gotta pull up a few things. So anywhere you go in our city, you will basically see an unhoused person, right? And it's in Long Beach, it's in Los Angeles County, it's California, it is all up and down our coastline. It's across the United States. Well, many of the cities, including Long Beach, are doing this declaration of homelessness. I even think that what is it? Santa Monica, if I was reading the paper right, they just did a declaration of homelessness. Okay, give me just a moment. I really have a million tabs open. So what I want to do, I want to show you what this means. So I've showed you things before in the past. And let's see, let me go. Okay. I don't know if you all can see this. So what I pulled up, this is an ordinance. And this ordinance was basically like a resolution that was set in place by our local government. And they basically said homelessness, we're in a state of emergency and we have to do something now. So this document is 16 pages long and it basically gives a breakdown of what our local government can do within this. But what's very interesting, it waives or it gives our local government, our city manager, and some other folks a lot of power to make decisions without having to go to the council members. Now, mind you, our council members, our local representatives, they approve this. They said, we agree with this. So I've shared this before. And the reason I want to share this now, because many people, I mean, I'm going to get to the Silverado Park issue. They don't know that we're under this state of emergency, right? And they don't even know what it means. They don't even know. It sounds good. It sounds like, yay, that our local government's going to do something. But are they? And what are they really going to do? And what does this declaration really mean? I'm not going to answer all that. I actually have more questions than I have answers, but I wanted to show folks what this document is. So I'm actually going to pull it up. Let's see if I can get to it. Ooh. Like I really have a million. If there's anybody out there that is watching right now that has actually looked at this document and gone through this document, please put some comments in the feed about some things that you noticed about this document. One thing, oh my goodness, I can't find it. Something that I found very interesting in it is how it, oh goodness gracious. I can't find it to pull it up. All right, let's see if I can get, okay. Hopefully y'all can see. Hold on, let me see if you can, just give me just a moment. I need to be able to see myself. Give me just a moment. Okay. Hopefully y'all will be able to see. So in this document, it basically says, whereas the city proclaims there's a homeless problem, and this is why there's a homeless problem. If you've been watching our recent press conferences that have been taking place by our mayor and even some of the commentary that has been coming, they talk about, well, why this is a problem. And as I started to go through this, I actually find this document a little problematic. I find it problematic, one, because I feel that this document is giving some of our city management a little bit too much authority. And I also believe that this state of emergency over the last several weeks, it seems like it's more like we do have a homeless problem or a homeless issue. I'm not gonna say problem, a homeless issue. Yet, as I've been watching things over the last several weeks, it seems like this declaration is more of a political play. than it is actually designed to remedy homelessness. And I know I'm saying something that people are like, "What?" Um One, because some of the language that's in this, it's not, I would say, it's I don't want to say theatrical, but it's extra, right? So one of the things that's in this document, it talks about why this is so important. And one of the things it stated, it talks about how many individuals, unhoused people die over due to homelessness. Yet it does not address like the some of the core reasons why. So it's almost, I don't want to say it's an exaggeration because it's not necessarily exaggeration, but it's extra. Is anyone watching? Come on, come on, come on, come on. Anybody? Anybody? Okay. I know I'm just like talking. You guys are like, what are you talking about? Um, so anyway, I'm just gonna put this. I'll just drop this in the comments. You guys can take a look at it. I really recommend that you take a look at it. And the things that I suggest that you take a look at it. Look at why the city is doing this, right? Look at why they're doing it, but then also look at some of the things that they're saying that because we are doing this, the things that are waived. Now I'm going to come back to this in just a moment. Okay. So throughout the last several weeks, we have been getting these press conferences from our mayor. And on February 3rd, there was an announcement that was made that the Silverado Silverado Park Gym will be utilized as an emergency winter shelter in the name of the state of emergency. Now, people are like, well, what's the big deal? The city of Long Beach, every year, they announce a winter shelter. Well, part of the big deal here is it's in a park, in a gym, in a park that happens to be utilized by a community on a regular basis. Now, interestingly, there was a press conference that was held on February 3rd. No one knew about it. No one knew that this announcement was coming. I wouldn't say no one, the public did not know that this announcement was coming. And then after the announcement was made, the public still did not know. And there was no announcement to community. So people are like, well, how could they make a decision to put a temporary winter homeless shelter in a gym in the middle of a park, in the middle of a community without announcing it? That's where you go back to the homeless declaration. Under this, it seems as if our local government has decided, because we're in this state of emergency that they've called, that they no longer have to adhere to like just some pleasantries, right? Some processes that normally local government would do before it would make such a decision. Now, I've gone through that declaration. I've gone through that declaration and I've gone through some other things, and nothing in that declaration does it specifically say you can use a park, but it does not say that you cannot use a park. Okay. I know this is sounding like it's not making much sense, right? Why Silverado Park? Okay. If we were and I'm not going to say homelessness is not a real emergency. If there was a natural disaster, or say there was a major fire that consumed, say, a neighborhood, and the city of Long Beach declared it an emergency, the park gym, because of its size, would be one of the first places that the city would use for a shelter. Now, that's under a real emergency, right? Natural disaster, major fire, something that displaces people. Our local government is using that same logic to place unhoused people under their declared state of emergency in our gym. People are like, well, what's the big deal? The big deal is because it's a park and it's a gym and it's utilized by community. I'm gonna go more in depth. So one thing that this declaration, so I'm gonna pull it back up. One thing that this declaration says. So again, if you this is only going to make sense if you've been watching my commentary over the last few weeks. Last weekend, not this past weekend, the weekend before, there was a rally held in the community, and this rally was to bring awareness to the people in the community that this homeless shelter was going to be open in a park. Community members did not know. People that walk the park did not know. Patrons of the park did not know. The people that live in the neighborhood did not know. And as different community members began to communicate with our various our neighbors, a group of people came together, including myself, and called a gathering, a rally of community members to inform them. And then I slept in the park. They're like, you slept in the park. I slept in the park. Why did I sleep in the park? It was a protest, and it was to bring attention to something serious. It brought attention. It was just what was needed. It was just what the doctor ordered, just to get people to pay attention. So let me go to this declaration. So in this declaration, one of the things that it talks about is why what it's supposed to accomplish as far as ensuring that our unhoused population is taken care of. And something that I found interesting on page 6, it reads, purpose: in order to protect the public safety, health, and welfare within the city of Long Beach. This is the first part of a line. So it's talking about what is the purpose of this proclamation, right? In order to protect the public safety, health, and welfare within the city of Long Beach. Many folks have issues with the shelter being placed in the middle of a park because it violates just that. So our local government is basically saying, in order to help one group of people, we are willing to sacrifice the health and wellness and safety of a community. Now, this is not about being anti-homeless. This is about bringing a large group of people, 84 people, this shelter is supposed to hold, 84 people, into a park. Now, what made things so interesting is that the city put up this gate around the park. And let's see, I think let me bring up a picture for you all. They put up a gate around the park. Well, if it's safe, if you're doing something that is safe for our community, why are you putting a fence around it? Are you trying to keep people in? Or are you trying to keep people out? So give me just a moment. I'm going to bring this up so you all can see. I don't know if I'm making any sense. I mean, yeah, did I say around the park, around the gym? I don't know if I said around it's huge, y'all. So again, if you've been paying attention, but let me show you. Let me bring this up so you can all see this. I see some folks over there. If you have any, ask me some questions. Help me out. Ask me some questions. If you've been paying attention, help me out with this conversation, because this is a large order. This conversation is. All right. Can y'all see that? That is the front part of the fence that went up around the gym. And if you see in this picture, there's a playground there. So going back to what I read a few moments ago about the city, let me read it again. Let's see if I can find it. Me and my 18 million tabs. Like, I literally have like 50 tabs open right now. See if I can find this. But take a look at that fence, y'all. Of course, I can't find the right tab. Oh, here we go. In order to protect the public safety, health, and welfare within the city of Long Beach. So this proclamation that was called, it was called for that purpose. And under this proclamation, or under this state of emergency, there's been a decision to utilize a park gym to be able to provide emergency shelter for our unhoused in order to protect the public safety, health, and welfare within the city of Long Beach. My question is, what about the people that live in the community? What about their health and safety? Okay. Someone said, let me put this. My son and I passed by. It looks horrible. Okay. They don't have to get the approvals they normally would have to do under regular circumstances. No, under this declaration, no. Okay. So one thing that's been really interesting, and let me see, how am I doing on time? One thing that has been very interesting about the city's decision to do this. One, they did not properly inform the community. So in that, many community members started communicating with various entities, leadership, saying, hey, what's going on? So the city created this fact sheet that they started sending out. So I'm going to show the fact sheet in a minute. Yet my mind, now y'all, this has been my favorite. I think I'm attached to these. I'm trying to figure out what to do with them. You know, got to reuse and repurpose. These are the mailers that I received during the campaign season. Y'all see this? Well, they're mine and my son's. My son, he's my neighbor. These are the mailers that we received during the campaign season. We were inundated with mailers, some of them every other day. Yet no, and I know that was campaign season, right? Right? Our attention, our vote mattered enough for you to communicate with us during the campaign season. But you couldn't send a notice to the public about you're going to put a shelter in the park. So let's continue on. Told you, y'all, I'm going to keep those forever. Repurpose, reuse. Community members have been pushing back. They've been sending emails, letters, phone calls to the mayor, the city council. And this is a citywide issue, okay? This is a citywide issue. Our homeless issue is a citywide issue. And what's been so very interesting about being a citywide issue, suddenly it's being relegated to one district. And now it's becoming a one district issue to fight. Oh, you have to talk to your council member. Oh, you know, well, the people on the west side, the people in the 7th district got to do their part. But you said it was a citywide issue. I can go back to the declaration, and that declaration, what does it say? It says it's a citywide issue, and the city put in a state of emergency, yet you want to create an impact in one area to resolve the issue? No, that's not even it. The one thing about it, we didn't create the issue. Policies and processes set by our local government help create our homeless problem. Okay, so let's go. And I'm trying to, we get crickets. yes. Now we get crickets. Thank you. I believe Miss Patrick, she lives on the west side, played in Silverado Park growing up, right? Are you still watching? Actually, I think we may have played in the park together as kids growing up. So you're familiar with it. You are a patron of the park. Community members been pushing back. So last week, community members went to city council and they basically shared their thoughts. And unfortunately, it was responded to. There was some I would say some gaslighting that came back from it. And one thing that came out of, or one thing that's been being a narrative that is being pushed out by our leadership, by our mayor, by our council member, is that people are misinformed. Oh, you're misinformed and you have inaccuracies. No, The only people that are misinformed is our leadership in thinking that this is acceptable to put this in a community. So another issue thing that keeps coming up, oh, well, they did it in 2020. Oh, the gym was used in 2020. In 2020, there was a real state of an emergency. Our city was shut down. The state was shut down. We were told to not go to public parks. Our playgrounds at the park had caution tape around them to remind us to not go to the park. So comparing 2020 to 2023 is not okay. But I keep thinking about that homeless declaration. Does that homeless declaration basically say that you can dismiss and not inform community? Does it say that community disregard them because of an emergency? Does that declaration say you can help the safety and well-being of one group of people and harm another in the process? Someone needs to read that, because maybe, let me see, let me hold on, let me go here. Let me find this for y'all again. Okay, I see some comments over there. Give me just a moment. Let me drop this. Let me drop this here. All right. I just dropped the homeless declaration so y'all can look at it yourself. Okay. Let's see. Of course, Carlos, you got to bring something up from the campaign. True, true, true. No solution to homeless issue. Okay, so again, let's. I don't want to spend too much time specifically talking about the homeless issue, but one thing that's interesting is things are being presented to us like it's brand new. We were told during the state of the city, or we were invited to give contributions for the mayor's fund to end homelessness. That mayor's fund to end homelessness, that was actually started in 1990. Okay, it's not new. And almost every mayor, with the exception of one, did some type of campaign around fundraising for homeless. Now, if you guys go back to me talking about agenda item number 19 and how there was a request and approved by our city council to use surplus tax money, which I'm still tripping on, how's there any surplus money from Measure A? Haven't had a chance to look into that yet, but how it was to use surplus money to increase to increase staffing for the mayor's office and the council offices, yet you're going to ask us to pay for to resolve homelessness when we the people didn't create it. Your policies, your processes, your lack on movement of affordable housing, your not supporting different things that ensure that people are able to stay gainfully employed. Okay. Okay, there's a difference between misinformation and uninformed. All right, so let me get back to that. So the narrative that is being shared is that we are misinformed. No, we were uninformed of what was coming to our community. So I'm going to show this, and I'm going to be really starting some mess, y'all. I'm starting some mess, y'all. But I'm going to do this. Give me a second. Let's see. Give me just a moment. But again, give me some questions, people. I know that other people have been paying attention. I'm sure I'm missing something. This is a lot, and I'm trying to just kind of connect the dots right here the best that I can. One thing that has been happening, community member, as I said, we've been pushing back. I've been one of those community members that are pushing back. I'm a longtime West Long Beach resident. As I've told people, I ate my free lunches in Silverado Park. I learned how to swim at the pool. And I have to say, I'm guilty of not utilizing that resource. Instead of doing it, I have been driving to other parks across the city, and honestly, shame on me for doing that. And maybe because I haven't used it enough. So let's see, I'm going to share. All right, so misinformed. So there's continues to be a narrative that is coming from our mayor and even our city council member that said it from the dais that, there's inaccuracies that are going to be cleared up at a community meeting. We're not asking questions about what you're going to do with the homeless shelter. We're not asking those questions. We just don't, the community does not want it to be there. So there's no inaccuracies. The only inaccuracy is the fact that people keep trying to say there's inaccuracies. Okay, I don't know if you all can see this. All right, yes, I am about to be real messy. Well, no, I'm not. Actually, what I'm doing, I'm using information that was put on a public platform. So there was a news NBC Channel 4 came to the West Side, came to Silverado Park and interviewed some parents on Friday. And one of those people that was interviewed shared the video of the interview. This is how our mayor responded. I hear you. There's a lot of misinformation out there about the Silverado winter shelter. And yes, I did open a shelter in my North Long Beach community here where I live. It has been open for 2 years now and has not had adverse impact on the community. We require additional homeless outreach within one area around the shelter, as well as improvements in the area. Okay, I'm going to break that down for y'all. I hear you. No, you don't. You're not listening. Didn't even come to the community to have a conversation to even hear anybody. Misinformation. There's no misinformation. None. There was no information provided to the community. What's interesting, I have gone through, we have different commissions and committees in the city. There's actually there's a commission and something called the Continuum of Care, like a committee, that are bodies that exist for the purpose of making recommendations and such for how to handle homeless. They received presentation within the last couple of weeks, and in their presentations, both the presentations was done by someone that provides that leads the services here in the city for homeless. There was a slide that says upcoming or forthcoming actions or something, forthcoming actions. And one of the items was announce a winter homeless shelter that can accommodate 80 people, but it did not name the site. I went through 4 different presentations in which that stated that. One of them happened on February 1st. This announcement was made on February 3rd. So that means that the city had adequate time to properly inform community about this shelter prior to February 3rd at a press conference. It was in multiple presentations. So even what's interesting in these presentations, and when I was been looking at who the body of the individuals that represent these, what would they have actually said had they known that the shelter was going to be placed in a park? That same presentation was presented to, and I don't know if it's the exact same. I think, but it actually listed it was Parks and Recs. So there's a Parks and Rec. And I haven't even got to that part yet. So there was a Parks and Recs commission, and I'm gonna get to that part. Okay, so misinformation. So one thing, if you listen to watch some of the stuff that's coming out, even the press, when the press has contacted our local government, they've said, "Oh, well, there's misinformation, and they're gonna get the information at a meeting." We're not asking questions about the shelter. It should not be in the park. Okay. North Long Beach, 2 years. Actually, that shelter did not open up until almost 8 months or so, until after it was supposed to open. It was so I know there's someone here from North Long Beach that's watching. That North Long Beach shelter did not open until a good amount of time until after. And do you know that $8 million, actually it was 8 million and $11 million or something, went into that homeless shelter? And that's a not a temporary. It's a I don't know exactly how it's defined. It's 24-hour operation, like over $11 million. And now I'm wondering, like, where's the money? Okay. The same, here it is. We require additional homeless outreach within 1 mile around the shelter, as well as improvements to the area. I don't know what that means, as well as improvements to the area. What does that mean? The same is planned for Silverado. Well, that's contrary to what the press release that came out from the city that said that people have to be processed at the MSC, which is almost 2.5 miles, a little bit over 2 miles away from the park before they are brought to uh, temporary shelter. And the word on the street is that 72 hours before the shelter is supposed to be open, the city is going to do a sweep. They're going to do a cleanup. They're gonna sweep, and that means where they go and they clean up the encampments from the home for the various homeless people, and they're gonna bring them to this shelter. That's the word on the street, y'all. Okay, so that is like this whole 1 mile. You're in a residential area. There is homeless in our area, but you're also in a home. You're in an area where there are a lot of homes. Okay, um, the North Long Beach wasn't temporary like Silverado right now. Right now, every part of town is doing their part, like the winter shelter in East Long Beach at Community Hospital and the Project Room Key site just outside of Belmont Shore. Okay, the winter shelter at East Long Beach, it's a hospital. It's in a building that was actually designed to accommodate an influx of people. Okay. And there was a community meeting that took place before that. It's also private property. And what I've been told, the people who own the property are getting paid like $45,000 a month rent. Okay. So it's like we're comparing apples and oranges. And then even the fact that it is going to be ran by the same agency, nonprofit agency, which is, what is the name of the agency? It's called First to Serve Outreach Ministries. I ain't even got onto them. I have to save that for another day. Where in this hospital building where the other shelter has been housed, there's been multiple overdoses. There's been a loss of life. Is that coming to our park? Is that what we're going to have to, endure and see? Being on a private property on an infrastructure that's designed like a hospital is different than a park. All right. So what I'm reading right now, I'm reading a response that the mayor gave to someone, which was quite interesting because I'm like, he's got time to respond to people via social media, but you couldn't come over and have a conversation with the people in the community. Oh, and here it is. The hospital is not even East Long Beach. Thank you. Here, thank you. Hold on. Let's make it. The hospital is not even East Long Beach. Okay. Homelessness grew 66% in LB, and more than 100 people experienced homelessness died in Long Beach last year. The word is the majority the increase. The majority of that increase are actually from people who were not originally homed in Long Beach. They came from other cities, other places. So for Long Beach to be like, oh, well, we got to do something because all of our Long Beach people are ended up in homelessness. That's not true. Okay. That's not true. Our homelessness population increases because other people from other cities and other jurisdictions come into Long Beach. They do need services like everyone else. Yet to make it seem as if Long Beach is taking care of its own because but if so, then that means Long Beach created its own problem, right? More than 100 people experiencing homelessness died in Long Beach last year. Did they die due to the winter cold? Because we are talking about a winter shelter. No. Overdoses. Natural causes due to, being unhoused. Stabbings. Hit and runs. I'm sure folks can list a few others. So to put that out there and then to make it seem like it's our fault. No, if it's anyone's fault, it's our local government's fault for not doing their job to ensure that we don't have unhoused people to begin with. Okay. We have an emergency that requires us to add some additional capacity. It's a tough decision, but it's the right thing to do. Going back to that declaration where I was reading about, the health and wellness and safety. So the right thing to do is to, in an effort to help someone, create hardship for someone else. He said it. It's the right thing to do. I encourage you to attend the upcoming community meeting to get your questions answered. Now, if you actually watch the different conversations that have been taking place, the person that he actually sent this to is very aware of the meeting. and has been actually encouraging other community to come to the meeting. So what meeting is being talked about? The meeting is the meeting is Thursday, Silverado Park, 6:30 p.m. It's the West Long Beach Association meeting where there's going to be a presentation from city staff on homelessness. Now, we're calling for community to come out at 4:45. Actually, get there about 5:45. If you can, get there about 5:30. We are gathering community together prior to the meeting. Now, let me go back to this. Oh, here we go. The question I have that I want answered is, why wasn't the community engaged before the decision was made? Makes me go back to that homeless emergency declaration. In that declaration, does it say, under this declaration, we don't have to talk to the people who elected us? Does it say that? Does it say we don't have to talk to the people who we represent? Going back to that homeless declaration, someone needs to read it again to tell me if it says that, because otherwise this was some shenanigans that our local government was attempting to pull, and we saw it coming, or we see it. If there are ways to improve the plan or enhance the park in long term, please share those ideas. I have an idea. Don't put the shelter in the park if there's ways to improve the plan. Well, first of all, what plan are you talking about? Homeless declaration plan, or the plan to put a homeless shelter in the park? Which plan? And to enhance the park. The way we enhance the park is we don't take away from the community. We don't take away a resource from the community. We don't take a gym from the community. The other narrative that continues, so I'm gonna drop that. There's another one. I'm not even gonna bring it up. The other narrative that is being pushed out there is that programming is not going to be impacted at the park. Programming has already been impacted in the park. Programming was impacted the day that fence went up. Program was impacted because people who normally use that gym were confused and did not know that it was available for them to use. It was impacted then. Folks that are running some programs, they've been given 3 options. Do it outside, find another place, or don't do it at all. Moving a program for our seniors and for our community members that took place in the gym from inside the gym to outside the gym, that's impacting the programs. Mind you, a young man lost his life in that park in January on the basketball courts. Do people understand that people are afraid to even be outside on the basketball courts anyway? So there's an open opportunity for people to come in the gym and play basketball because they have open community hours. They can't even do that. There was a joint use agreement between the local elementary school and Parks and Rec for the team to be able to come and play inside. They're not even going to be able to do that. I know it's from here that their season is coming to an end, but they were impacted. So, and then if they were not impacted, if you're saying that programming is not impacted and that 3.5 months of no programming is going to be impacted, then are you admitting, is the city of Long Beach admitting that it is not providing adequate programming at the park to begin with to be impacted? Now, get to the question on equity. Why is this all wrong? I'm sorry. I'm getting all wired up now. The basketball team school couldn't get into practice the day after the fence went up. That wasn't impacting. Thank you. Pastor Tony Bell has been out there in community talking to community members, and what's shameful is that us individuals know more about what's going on in the park than those that represent us, and they keep telling us that we're misinformed. They are misinformed. Okay. So when you all see that in the press, our local press, or even the mainstream media, that the city of Long Beach is making this claim that the community is misinformed, we are not misinformed. We were uninformed, and they're the ones that are misinformed. So please don't share that narrative because it's false. Now let's go on equity. And I got to wrap this up, y'all. Give me just a moment. Got a little too hyped up. Any comments, y'all? Whew. Okay. Whew. I put on a little lipstick for y'all tonight. And I combed my hair. If anybody been seeing me lately in the park, I've been looking like a hot mess. I actually combed my hair for y'all. So, okay. One of the things that our city has been talking about since 2020, actually, it was even before 2020 hit. It was before 2020 hit. It was the tail end when the California endowment was here. Actually, it was during the California endowment, and when they were pouring money into the community. We're talking about equity. City of Long Beach is striving for equity, and we got an equity department. And then 2020 came, and this document was written, the framework for reconciliation, racial, what is it? Let me find it. Racial equity and reconciliation. Equity. Placing a shelter in the Silverado Park Gym in the Silverado Park on the west side of Long Beach in the 7th District of Long Beach is a violation of the equity goals that the city has set. I'm going to read this. According to the report on Racial Equity and Reconciliation Initiative, a goal of the city is to increase access to park space and recreational program to foster physical activity, community connections, and safe places for children, families to play in a park equity zone in North, Central, and West Long Beach. Does placing a shelter in our park meet that goal? Going back to the declaration, health and safety. Okay? Racial equity and reconciliation. So the city wrote a document and said they were about equity, and then the city makes a decision that impacts even their goal. Okay? The City of Long Beach Park and Recreation and Marine, they have a mission. And their mission is we create community and enhance the quality of life in Long Beach through people, places, programs, and partnerships. Well, the decision that was made and announced on February 3rd, and clearly the decision was made way before it was announced on February 3rd, is not in alignment with the city's own park and recreation's mission. Enhance the quality of life in Long Beach through people, places, programs, and partnerships. It impacts the quality of life of the people that live in that community. It impacts the quality of life. You know, people's like, oh, you're being a NIMBY. You're being a NIMBY, not in my backyard. No, it's in people's front yards. Meaning when they get up and they open up their front door, that's what they see. They see the park. Okay. The city had a strategic plan for its park, recreation, and marines. And one of them, and I'm going to just read them. And this is all online. You can go online, type in City of Long Beach Park, Recreation, Marine strategic plan. I got all the documents pulled up on my 50 tabs that I ain't even going to show you right now. Ensure open space parks and recreation facilities meet community needs. Taking away a gym in an under park community, under green space, only public gym does not meet community need. It actually takes away from the community need. Ensure city parks and recreation facilities provide a positive experience and image. I showed y'all a picture of that gate, that fence, right? I don't think that creates a positive experience and image at all whatsoever. I'm like, what are they doing? What they're trying to do? Keep people in, keep the people out. Ensure recreational programming, leisure opportunities, and community services meet the diverse needs and interests of residents and visitors. If you take away a gym that was housing programming, you're not ensuring recreational programming. People who normally go to the park are not going to feel comfortable because there's going to be people who are not normally part of their community there. And I'm not saying that the West Side is very gracious when it comes to taking care of community. That just they are. We are working class folks, you know. So yet the park has served as a place of leisure. I know there's a group that's there on a daily playing dominoes and cards, multiple groups, one on one end of the park, one on the other end of the park. Having an additional 84 folks plus staff plus security. Did you know that the park already has security there watching that gate? Y'all taxpayer money at work. Oh, here we go. Let's do this one right here. It's coming from a realtor. Let's talk about property values being affected. Now, when I was walking and canvassing the neighborhood to get people to come out last Saturday or Saturday before last, that was one of the concerns. How is this going to affect my property values? Okay. Oh, causing us damage. Okay, so I'm going to wrap it up. Wanted to kind of, I know I talked about a lot, and it's honestly, there is no way to like have this conversation a simple conversation, because part of it, you're talking about park equity, we're talking about the homeless issue, and they're to me, they're two topics that should not be together, right? Although we do have unhoused people that live in our parks, and we know that that's not a proper place for them to live. Yet some of them have lived there for years. They've lived there for years, and guess what? They have become part of the community. They're part of the community, and they are looked out after by community. They are taken care of by community, and they do make the best contributions that they can for those who are in those situations. No, that is not for them. But the one thing that is really that is of problematic for me as someone who's actually worked for an agency who provided housing for formerly homeless people, formerly homeless veterans, the city doing these sweeps of chronically homeless people. Chronically homeless people do not want to be in shelters. They don't want to be in shelters. They don't feel safe in shelters. They don't want to leave their belongings to be in a shelter. Homeless women do not want to be in shelters. You know why? Because they're sexually assaulted in shelters. So the city is attempting to put a Band-Aid on something. Oh, but people, I'm gonna have to continue this conversation because there's so much, and I'm looking at my list right now. I have to show this. I have to show this. Give me just a moment to figure out where this is. People need to see this. The shelter is supposed to be open between up until May 29th. Why winter ends on March 19th? Why is the city calling this an emergency shelter? Okay. So according to LASA, which if you look at any of the news reporting about these shelters, the city talks about how LASA is a provider in this. Winter shelters run from November 1st to March 31st. Today is February 20th. Winter ends March 19th. Long Beach wants to have this particular shelter open until May 29th. Can someone make it make sense? Why is the city of Long Beach having a winter shelter that goes months into spring, almost into summer? You know why? Oh, well, a possibility. This is a possibility. Because there is money that they did not spend, and they're attempting to spend it now. Possibly. It's a possibly. That's a possible explanation. So our community gets the burden of the city being irresponsible in the way in which it spends its money. Oh, and thank you. We can't forget this one right here, the Grand Prix. So, for those of us that live in Long Beach and are familiar with the way that Long Beach has always operated and run, what happens right around Grand Prix time? The homeless and our unhoused population are swept up. They're swept up and they're placed somewhere. May 29th. Isn't there a big parade in May or something? I think there's a big parade or something in May. So, people, I share all of this because we have to ask questions. We have to be paying attention. And this is, again, there's folks that want to make it about anti-homeless. No. Everyone has a right to a home. Yet the burden, although it's so quick to say, we're all in, this is a citywide problem. Then if we're all in a citywide problem, why does one community have to take the burden of it? And then why does it have to be pushed? So every single council member needs to be present at that meeting on Thursday, not just one city council member, since it's a citywide problem. But I bet you money, the mayor ain't gonna be there. But it's a citywide problem. So the citywide problem, the west side of Long Beach has to be responsible for it. If it's a citywide problem, we need citywide people on this. So for people who watch my commentary, need you on Thursday. Matter of fact, on Wednesday, there's a meeting at the West Long Beach Association, at the West Division Police Station. And guess what their topic is? Homelessness. So if you live in the jurisdiction of the West Division, can you please show up to the West Division meeting on Wednesday? I believe the meeting is at 6. Somebody, I'll share. I think the meeting is at 6 West Division. I was on Santa Fe. Type it in West Division. Okay, 6 p.m. West Division Police Station. Topic is homelessness. Show up. Ask them. Ask our new. Oh, we have a new commander. I don't remember his name right now. Somebody got to tell me. Ask our new commander. How is PD going to manage this on the west side? How is it going to impact calls for service? Ask them. How is it going to impact calls for service for those of us who live in the West Division? Ask. What is PD's plan? Are we going to see are we going to have to deal with police cars sitting up in our parks all the time? Which is completely unfriendly anyway, right? I mean, again, we're already reeling from a shooting that took the life of a 17-year-old, and police has been sitting there, and it makes the community feel safe. But now is this going to have to be a regular deal where PD is just parked in the park? That's Wednesday. Thursday, Silverado Park. It's supposed to rain. Rain, no rain. We need people there. Put on your warm clothes. Bring your umbrella, put on your rain boots, but we need people to be present. And from whatever part of the city you are in, because remember, this is a citywide issue. And if you know that what the city is doing is wrong, and if you believe that this is not in alignment with the equity the city promises the community, and if you believe in one Long Beach, please show up on Thursday. And please get messages to your council members. They need to be present because remember, this is a citywide issue. So they need to be present so they can hear what the community has to say. Because although we have live in different districts, I drive through 1, 2, 3, 4 council districts every single day. And when I drive across those city lines, I don't go, oh, I'm in a new district. No, it's one Long Beach. So folks who believe in one Long Beach, park 5:45 Thursday, 2:23, 5:45 p.m. gathering before the West Long Beach Association meeting. City staff is supposed to be there to provide information because we're misinformed, and let people know that we are all one Long Beach. If there's any comments or questions, please drop them in there. I know there's a lot of information, and some of the stuff, like, I'm gonna have to go back and go through, because this is honestly, people, what I believe. I believe that our homeless population is being used as widgets, political widgets. I believe that this has a lot to do with money and has to do with political play and power. And I really need for folks to read through that declaration and pay attention to what's going on in your community, because some of the things in that declaration basically says there's the city, our local government does not have to go through its regular process. And it's actually very frightening. So pay attention. Pay attention, because for all you know, something can be happening in your neighborhood, something can be being built or tore down or modified in your community, and you don't know it, and it's all happening under this emergency declaration. So I hope to have this conversation. I hope to continue this conversation and have a conversation with some community members within the next couple of days, just to get their feedback. It's not just my voice. There's many voices. I appreciate everyone who's been talking with me and sharing information with me. I appreciate all the community members. I've literally have physically come in contact with several hundred community members within the last 2 weeks. Physically, face-to-face contact. Not just, I know you see me on the screen, it's been more than just on the screen. And so I really invite other people to take the time to do that. Go and talk to your neighbor. I know in 2020, we got used to being our 6 feet apart and stuff. You can still be 6 feet apart and engage with people. You can still wear a mask and engage with people, but we got to get back to that. We have to get back to communicating with each other and talking to each other from somewhere other than on the other side of the screen. It's Jerlene, live from Long Beach, talk of the town, mama with a voice. All politics are local, people. All politics are local. And right now we got some politicking going on in Long Beach that we got to make sure that we're paying attention. And the last comment that I need to make before I close this down. For the persons that decided to call PD to make it seem that community was about to do something violent, do not use the police to do not weaponize the police against community. It is our democratic right, our constitutional right to assemble. And if people want to assemble before a community meeting to have a conversation and engage with each other, it is our right to do so. So for the person who decided to call PD and try to criminalize community for coming together, shame on you. One thing about people who are grounded and rooted in community, we have relationships. We have relationships with each other. And even though it may seem like some of us are anti-police or whatever, we still have relationships with our local community police officers. And we have relationships with other people that may not look like us, that may not live on the same block as us, that may not even necessarily be within a few miles of us. So be mindful. This is a personal message from Jerlene. Be very mindful. Do not weaponize police against the community. To my local officers on the beat, I appreciate y'all. Look forward to see y'all on Thursday. Hopefully y'all not actually watching this or anything. Take care. Oh, make sure you give us a thumbs up, love, comment, share.